everybody. We are here again live on the floor of NAB 2018 at the Maxon booth here, as you can tell by our lovely background. And right now I'm joined by one of the people that have, like, if it wasn't for them, I probably would know a fraction of what I know about Cinema 4D today. Chris Schmidt from GrayscaleGorilla.com. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for hanging out.
Of course. Thanks for coming by and getting interviewed here. How's it been going so far? How's your presentations been?
Well, NAB, I think this is my favorite NAB so far. Every night's been unique and different with different parties, different styles, and it's been really fun. And then the presentation, I got to do two of them. One where it was just another 50 minutes of tips and tricks and techniques, which are always my favorite. And I think they're my favorite because it's everybody else's favorite.
Yes.
Like, they tell me that those are the ones I like for me, so I like doing that.
Yeah.
And then me and Nick just today got to do an Ask GSG. And those are always a little worrying because you're asking questions live in the audience without us pre-planning.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen. So those worked out really well. I think that was my favorite one of the live Ask GSGs.
Awesome. So you guys are keeping busy over at GSG, right? Where you guys came out with Gorilla Cam, right?
Yes.
So for those that might not know much about it, why don't you go and talk a little about Gorilla Cam there?
Sure. Do I hold that or you keep holding it?
You can.
Cool. Yeah.
Take control.
So yeah, Gorilla Cam. It was actually Chad's brainstorm. It was actually Chad's brainchild. Yeah, it was actually Chad's brainchild that he decided this idea for a little plugin that we could sneak in between one big project we were working on and another big project we were working on. It's just like the idea of trying to simplify the camera a little bit. But the main thing, the concept behind it is making something non-destructive that adds more of a human touch to the camera. Everything in CG is always very perfect, and most of our job, anybody working in motion design, we're trying to make it look a little less perfect, a little less precise. So it's just the idea of taking a camera, very simple, a static camera or a basic moving camera, smoothing it out a little bit, or overshooting it a little bit. And the main thing is that we've got all these frequencies of noise to like have big slow shakes or tiny medium kind of human scale and tiny little vibration ones like you're on a train or a plane, or and just layering those up and iterating. And while you can go really deep and change all the sliders and move stuff around all over the place, we got all these presets where you can click on, I forget, we got like 40 different presets that we just think are kind of cool.
Right.
But then we also have a I'm feeling lucky button, which is like coming up with like algorithmic, like that we think these are going to work well. So I'm actually changing seeds and making all these things. So you can just keep on clicking through until it seems to look good for you, and you just have a human touch to your camera, non-destructively.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you and Chad have been, so you and Chad, I think it's really cool what you guys just put out your latest tutorial where you kind of tag team on something like that. So you want to talk a little bit about that? Is that something you guys are going to keep continuing doing, like tag team tutorials, kind of stuff like that?
Yes, that's actually a really big thing where we've been kind of struggling a little bit with the tutorials where we're trying to figure out like the scale of them and the length of them and how we want to do it. Yeah. Back in the day, me and Nick had actually we did 5 different combo tutorials where I did something and he took over. And they're always everybody's favorite. Like they really like people's different skill sets being able to go in. Yeah. You know, I'm not very good at making the pretty render at the end of the day, but I'm really good at being technical. So so me and Chad brainstormed for a little bit, came up with something cool. Ended up not working. So we came up with a different idea, and then that one like came together super quickly, and it was really fun to go and make a very technical thing that I think is it's a very specific artsy type of thing, so but I tried to make it more or conceptually that people have a lot of different things they could do with it. And then Chad took it and just went completely nuts with it, and he went and made like a photorealistic art gallery where it's hanging on the wall and there's a crowd of people and like a lighting rig, did all this crazy stuff, went way overboard in the best way possible.
In it, moving around.
And I was like, dude, so like mine was like an hour long. Here's a little behind the scenes. Mine was an hour long, and his was supposed to be an hour long. And he recorded it, and he went way overboard in a good way. And he recorded 4 hours of content, and we're like, this is too much. And we wanted to do a longer one, but this is too much for a tutorial. So instead, he went and he redid it as a breakdown of the scene, like going into all the detail, all the information you could need, but without doing a step by step by step. So it's also, in addition to kind of bringing back the 2-parter tutorials and me and Chad's first 2-parter tutorial, it's also a little bit of an experiment to see how people feel about a breakdown type of thing, where I like going step by step, but breakdown can be fun too with a project
like
that's just a little, NAB,
and
or it's just too big, you can't do every single step. And honestly, after like how many edge loops can you select and tweak and select and tweak until you're like, this is not fun to watch anymore.
Like your ducky tweaking that
yes.
you're making over there. For those of you that don't know about the ducks, it's something you need to come to NAB It's a little inside.
Oh, don't give away the ducks. There's only so many ducks to have.
See, you don't.
Yeah.
You only know if you're here. So
Yes.
make sure that you come to one of these because you get in on this kind of stuff. But so is there anything like I'm just trying to think of? Is there one type of tutorial that is highly in demand that you have not made yet that you're like we should probably like do this kind of tag team thing like you, Chad, and Chris like all kind of go in on that? Or is it just all over the board?
I mean, there's always stuff all over the board.
Right,
I mean, literally every aspect of cinema. Like the more tutorials there are, the more detailed the tutorial is. Like the happier everybody is. So everybody loves and wants UV tutorials because that's kind of a pain. It takes long. Modeling, rigging, character animation, anything about any third-party rendering, super in demand, and that's what everybody loves seeing. So, yeah, I mean, you could literally start recording and never stop, and you would still not have made enough content to satisfy everybody.
No, especially on very specific subjects like rigging. Like it's different for every type of character that you're doing, right? So it's very hard to have one overriding one, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think those are like the most high in demand and the hardest to like plug those holes.
Yes.
So you guys have, you actually personally have been working on your 3D printing and your like laser etching, stuff like that. So talk about like your process with that and maybe for people that might be interested in 3D printing and suggest like how to get into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is going to all be my personal opinion because I've just been doing a bunch of research and fun into it.
Yeah.
But a long time ago, I went and I ordered a Glowforge. It's a very specific printer, and it was just, or that's the laser cutter. And it was kind of still being developed. It was kind of almost like a Kickstarter, and it finally arrived. And within like sheer coincidence, it finally arrived right within 2 weeks of me getting a 3D, my first in-house like 3D printer. Nice. So I had done like a month of research on 3D printers, like all different kinds. So I got Prusa i3 Mark III, and I've just been, I think it's the best 3D printer you can get for under $1,000, and it's like it's really nice. So I did a kit and I recorded the whole thing of building. It took like 8 hours, but it's been so much fun playing with these two tools and having both of them in my house at the same time. And you've seen some of the results of it.
Oh,
in fact,
yeah,
I think I've got one,
do you got one right now?
One right here.
Oh, right. Gotta get it close to the camera.
So I'll let you control that.
So let's all talk about what it is.
Yeah, so this is off the laser cutter. So I was able to take both cut lines and different depth mats out of cinema, and this is every single noise, every procedural noise in Cinema 4D. So I brought these as just some fun things to share with people.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's so cool.
So I've been like playing with it nonstop, and it's been really fun. And I'm learning a ton, like new workflows for like how to export out of Cinema into Illustrator into the software, like the proprietary like web interface, and learning all the different volumes and slicers inside of 3D printing. And it's all been really fun, and I'm learning a ton. And once I kind of have some good processes, I'm going to be recording some breakdowns and some like, you know, here's settings I found that work, and here's my opinions of materials and whatnot.
Very cool. Is it very seamless to get like you're building a model, you're building your little ducky over there? Is it seamless to like get a mesh, and do you have to worry about like intersections of geometry, or is it fairly straightforward to like export out an OBJ and import into that proprietary software in the app and just kind of print it? Or
yeah, I think it's actually changed a lot because I was doing some 3D printing a couple years ago, maybe like 2 or 3, and I remember I was having a lot of trouble. If you had like a sphere and a cube and they were intersecting, the particular pieces off. When you're going to convert something from 3D into a 3D printer, those programs are called slicers.
Right.
So the slicers would get confused at that intersection, or at least the ones I was using. But now I've tried a couple different ones, and they're like, no, that's fine. We'll just figure it out. So really, the most important thing is thinking about things as volumes, but they can be intersecting. So you want things to be a little bit watertight, but they can be little individual watertight pieces.
They can be like interconnected and all that.
Yeah.
Or like intersecting, and that won't be a problem.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a mold at that point. It just takes the outer volume, and you don't have to worry about the insides and what's going on. So it'd be like super messy. Because I'm not a good modeler, and sometimes I need to like put the arm there, and it's intersecting the torso.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be completely fine just letting them intersect. So that part is fun. There's been a lot to learn, and I mean I've barely gotten started. And you can do stuff where you import like point data, and there's things that'll mesh that properly and whatnot. And all things like infill, where it creates like internal structure to fill the volume to make it stronger. And it could be solid plastic, or you could do like 10%, and it's like a lattice grid type of thing. So that kind of stuff I'm learning a lot, and it takes a while, and the prints take a long time, but it's been really fun physically holding some of the things that we build.
Yeah.
So that's been great.
It's kind of like VR. You can build a scene in 3D and then actually put the goggles on and actually live inside of your scene. It's like super cool where technology is going. But
yeah.
Dude, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I'm like very proud to call this guy a good friend. Like he's amazing in the community, and coming to NAB and be able to talk to the MoGraph heroes is just really crazy. So if you haven't been to NAB yet, what are you waiting for? This is the place to be. Get to hang out with Chris, Nick, Chad, the whole team, and schmoes like myself, and the Brograph guys and all that crazy stuff. So thanks for joining us here on the live at the NAB floor at the NAB C4D booth, and hope to see you in the next video.